against a South Carolina State team still for their first win on the campaign. Wake Forest in white, South Carolina State in maroon. Our officials tonight, Jerry Peter, Tim Clougherty, and Janelle Spearman. South Carolina State win it, and away we go. This is a Bulldogs team that really had to overhaul their roster in the offseason, still trying to find their footing. They've shown flashes in the opener. They went on the road at South Carolina and only lost by 3. So Steve Forbes was telling us, very dangerous team for a Wake Forest team that's coming back from Jamaica on short rest.
Yeah, he certainly said this is a team that wants to play fast. They want to pressure you. And he said we must do that right there. We must rebound the ball against this team.
Almost a second offensive rebound. Foul called against the Bulldogs, so it'll be Wake Forest basketball. The Demon Deacons playing without Davian Williamson. Star point guard who's out with a back injury tonight. Damari Monsanto takes his place in the starting lineup, making his first start on the season. Here's Monsanto, fires a 3 and connects to open the score.
Well, Jay, we saw his first game last year, and that's what he can do. Remarkable how he came back from that Achilles injury, and certainly he's a guy you must find if you're South Carolina State.
Getting it done on the defensive end, swiped away by Monsanto, so an instant impact after getting inserted to the starting lineup for the first time this season. Hildreth on the blow-by, and it's 5-0 Demon Deacons early.
Wake comes out, they are in man-to-man.
And finally, the Bulldogs break through, cashing in off the offensive glass with Davion Everett. You said it, Huck. This is a team that sends all 5 guys to the offensive glass, and that could be a problem for Wake Forest tonight.
Yeah, Steve Forbes, we asked him yesterday the keys to the game, and he said, look, they'll send 5, like you said, and we must make sure everybody is blocking out on the defensive glass. This right here, good transition defense. This was another area that Steve Forbes said they emphasized leading up to this game. Transition. He said, look, they want to get out, play fast. They want to pressure you. I think this is where Davian Williamson not being in the lineup certainly could be an area of concern with South Carolina State wanting to pressure.
Hildreth stays in attack mode. He's got 4 in the early goings for Wake Forest. A Demon Deacons team that probably should still be undefeated at 5-0, lost in overtime. They had a 8-point lead down the stretch in the Jamaica Classic against LMU on Sunday with just a minute 30 left in the game. Steve Forbes, talking with him the other night, still can't believe that they ended up losing that game. He said it was a perfect storm. And it doesn't help that it's a tight turnaround, Huck, too.
Yeah, Jay, we could sense the frustration that he just, look, he wants to move on, he said, but that's one he said that they should definitely have won that game. Certainly, though, some teachable moments, end-of-game situations, execution-wise, that he wants his team to learn from and then make sure it does not happen as they get closer to ACC conference play.
A foul on the closeout. That'll send Tyree Appleby to the line. And there's Steve Forbes, the transfer portal guru, as I'll call him, in his 3rd season with Wake Forest. Really enjoyed our conversation with him yesterday. Touched on a lot of different topics, but really likes his group, Malcolm. Totally different than the group that won 25 games a year ago because of all the departures and some incomings both through the portal and freshmen. But really likes this team and in the future here at Wake Forest.
The guy can flat out coach. Obviously, the success he had before coming to Wake Forest, and what he did last year, I would say not too many people were thinking Steve Forbes was going to be Coach of the Year in the ACC. The job that he did with that group, really remarkable. And he likes this team. And again, he's obviously early on in the season talked about that one loss that they have. He'd like to have that one back. But Tyree Appleby, as I said in the open, they think they found another really good player. And certainly early on, he has put up some really good numbers for Wake Forest.
And he told us defensively he feels like this group is farther along than they were a year ago, which is really encouraging. Obviously still trying to replace the points of Jake LaRavia and Alondis Williams, who were two of the best scorers in the ACC. South Carolina State doing a great job getting to the rim. LG Hallam's with the third bucket of the night for South Carolina State. LJ Hallam's coming into the lineup, making an impact and keeping it a one-possession game. Here's a shake and bake. Appleby fouled again. Tyree Appleby at the line when we come back. Just getting started on Thanksgiving Eve from the Joel.
Enamel is the hardest tissue in the body. It's a protective layer.
There's South Carolina State first-year head coach Eric Martin. If the name is familiar, that's because it is. He's been around college basketball for the last 3 decades, went to the Final Four with Cincinnati playing for Bob Huggins, then joined Huggy Bear's coaching staff both at Kansas State and West Virginia. 16 seasons next to Bob Huggins, and now ready to run his own program. Took the South Carolina State job in July.
Well, I know the phrase is used a lot, home run hire, but if you're South Carolina State, you definitely hit a home run on this one right here. As you said, learn from one of the best, and Bob Huggins was a great player, has Final Four experience, well respected within the coaching community, and there is no doubt I think he's going to turn this thing around and get them going in the right direction.
His team started 0 for 3 from the floor, but now they've made 3 in a row. All layups. They've done a nice job getting right to the rim. Great baseline cut. The layup doesn't fall. Everything but the finish.
It was a beautiful backdoor cut that time, and pass was on point, just could not finish.
Up top, fouled on his way to the rim. March into the game for Wake Forest. Steve Forbes telling us that Matthew Marsh is one of many that he expects to take a big step forward this season. Look at that game against LMU. All career highs. And Steve Forbes said, I don't think that's a fluke. We expect that level of production from him over the course of this season.
Yeah, and I think, look, credit Steve Forbes and staff. He talked about what he did with Alondis Williams, Jake LaRavia, those two guys playing for a paycheck at the next level. But the player development piece, I think that's huge. And, certainly when you have a guy that size, 7'1", Matt Marsh, and he said he's skilled. He's a guy that can step out, shoot the 3 ball, can score around the basket. They're really excited about what he is going to be able to bring to this Wake Forest team.
Another great look inside. Count it, plus the foul. South Carolina State feasting in the paint. All of their buckets coming from inside.
Yeah, and right here, again, another little backdoor cut. Wake Forest late and allowing guys to cut in front of them, and South Carolina State doing a nice job finding cutters going to the basket. This time they were able to get themselves at the free throw line and one situation.
Could not complete the 3-point play 5 minutes into this first half. Wake Forest has not made a field goal in the last 2:30. Hildreth trying to change that, and he does.
Yeah, that's great footwork by Hildreth. Got cut off, then a little reverse spin that time. into a little jump hook, and great individual effort that time by Hildreth.
Great ball movement led to a really good look from three that misfired. You know, Malcolm, going back to the player development piece for Steve Forbes, he said when he went into the transfer portal to try and build this roster, it wasn't just for one-and-done guys. He wanted guys with multiple years of eligibility so he could start to build something. And you talk about a guy like Cameron Hildreth, who's taken a big step up in his sophomore year. There's a lot of players that have at least 3 years of eligibility on this roster.
Yeah, and, you know, we talked with them about LaRavia. Look, they did not think Jake LaRavia was going to be a first-round draft pick when they started off. Obviously, they knew he was good, but he did such a good job. And you know, obviously, he progressed last year where that guy wound up being a first-round draft pick. And as I said, playing for a pretty good paycheck at the next level. And I think that's a key for him, though. Again, he's not looking at, and he knows he's not going to get those one-and-done type guys. He's looking for guys that are a fit. And that's what he thinks he found in Tyree Appleby as well, too.
Right back to Cam Hildreth. What a start to this game. He's already up to 8, has half of the Demon Deacons points in the early going. In the first 6 minutes of this game, South Carolina State has committed 6 fouls. So Wake Forest could very well find themselves with a bonus for more than 10 minutes. Next foul, they're shooting free throws the rest of the way. So something to be very cautious of if you're Eric Martin and the Bulldogs.
And that last possession, Wake Forest went to a matchup zone. Again, they looked like they were showing man, but they basically were switching out on the perimeter. Giving them kind of a different look defensively. Able to come up with a turnover.
Tough take, too much on it. South Carolina State finally comes up with a stop. Let's see if they can cash in on the other end. Again, can't connect from 3. Wake Forest defense dialed in to start this ball game. Appleby. Great cut. The feed on the money. Offensive foul.
Well, the play was there. An unselfish play by Appleby. We talked about the passing ability right here again. Drew a defender. That's 2 guys on him, the cutter, but that's got to be a jump stop jumper again. Right there, he's running into the defender there. Easy call for the ref to make. And back to JT, your earlier point, this Wake Forest defense dialed in. That's something that was of concern for Steve Forbes. He's like, listen, I did not like how our guys defended in that last game, and they've had some issues defending the 3-point line. That's something that has been an emphasis for them leading up to this one. Again, offensively, I think they're going to be there, but Steve Forbes wants his defense to tighten up.
Travel, another turnover. You're right, Huck, about the 3-point defense. Last 2 games, Wake Forest has allowed 40% from 3. Not going to win a ton of games if your opponent is knocking down 40%. And there's Jao Ituka, the transfer from Marist. He was the MAC Freshman of the Year, making his Wake Forest debut tonight. So you lose Davian Williamson, but you get back Ituka. Steve Forbes is very high on the sophomore transfer. Another uncontested 3. South Carolina State still struggling to make the Demon Deacons pay. They've missed their last 5. And they're 0 for 7 from 3 tonight. And the 7th foul for Eric Martin's club. So Wake Forest will be shooting for the next 12 minutes and 12 seconds on every foul. And that's a recipe to put your opponent away when you can get to the line with ease now.
You don't mind teams Obviously, as a coach, being aggressive, just don't want to put guys on the free throw line.
Saturday rivalry week and a good one on ACC Network, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Wake Forest and Duke. They've been playing since 1924, almost 100 years. It's exactly what you look for in a rivalry game. And then ACC primetime, Pittsburgh and Miami. Hurricanes trying to get to bowl eligibility. Little tie-dye nation on Thanksgiving Eve. Wake Forest, a 10-point lead, 8 minutes into this first half. Demon Deacons right now on a 6-0 run. One second on the shot clock. South Carolina State heaves it up, but it falls. Finally, the lid off after a 3-minute scoring drought.
That's not a bad defensive possession. Again, obviously South Carolina State scored, but contested, got them deep into the shot clock. And as you said, that is a difficult two that was contested.
Aggressive take. Ituka looking for his first bucket in a Demon Deacons uniform. And a travel on the offensive rebound by Bradford. Demon Deacons leading by 8 midway through this first half. Malcolm, that means somebody's got to make up that production.
Yeah, and obviously you look at the numbers with these two guys right here. One of the more dynamic, high-scoring backcourts in the ACC. Williamson out. I think the concern is turnovers against this South Carolina State team that wants to pressure, obviously to go along with that points per game production that you miss with Williamson out of the lineup.
Another uncontested three. South Carolina State still struggling to shoot it from deep. They are 0 of 8 from 3 to start this game. And they've gotten plenty of good looks. Can't capitalize on them. Andrew Carr misses from 3, offensive rebound, but stolen away. Here come the Bulldogs. They've got numbers. Another 3. They keep firing, and they just can't connect. And an offensive foul. Carr spinning into trouble.
Okay, that's 2 possessions for Wake now. Turnovers. Charge here, the previous play, a turnover, and that has been the number, really. When we spoke with Steve Forbes, he said, look, guys are just trying to do too much. It's as simple as that. You look at their numbers, they have more turnovers than assists in the season, and he said, look, that's something that we have got to correct and address soon. Just can't turn the ball over at that clip.
They've yet to make a basket in the last 4 minutes. The problem is South Carolina State only one of their last 8, so they've been able to maintain an 8-point advantage. 3 seconds on the shot clock. Have to heave from deep. Too much on it, an offensive rebound. South Carolina State has missed all 10 threes they've taken. They are ice cold right now. And yet Wake Forest keeps turning it over. All the way to the rack, a steal and an easy layup on the other end. L.J. Hallams leads the way with 6.
Well, the idea right there, you have a guy running down the lane. You think he's open. Again, that's one of those where no need really to take a risk in that situation. You're giving up a live ball turnover and then giving that a team that's struggling shooting an opportunity to get out in transition and get layups as opposed to forcing them to shoot jumpers.
Here's Carr in attack mode. And he finally cashes in for Wake Forest, who is in a scoring drought of more than 3 minutes.
And I like that move by Carr. Again, don't settle for jumpers if you're Wake. Carr had a clear size advantage that time. Like how he used his body. Nice little soft touch with the little jump hook.
off the window and in. Had way too much on it, but a friendly roll for Jones. He has 6 points, so Jones and Hallam's with 12 of the Bulldogs' 14 in this first half. Back to a 2-possession game. Hildreth right to the rack. Count it, plus the foul. Cam Hildreth is a perfect 5 for 5 from the floor. And he'll be at the line to try and complete the three-point play when we come back. Hildreth doing it all for the Demon Deacons right now. Out of the lineup tonight with a back injury, Huck. Cam Hildreth stepping up big time.
Steve Forbes lights up when he talks about this guy. He said, look, he is just a tough, competitive dude. This guy plays off of 2 feet. Look at his footwork, jump stop jumpers, soft touch. You look at the production that he has put in early on in this game. Perfect from the floor. And I think the big thing, Jay, he has not settled for jumpers, head fakes, getting into the lane, getting high percentage shots.
Hildreth has been the go-to guy. He's 5 for 5 from the floor. The rest of his team just 2 of 8. So it's all going through Hildreth early. Sophomore from the south coast of England. He's got some great international experience, played for the under-16, under-18 British national teams over in the UK. I think in his freshman year, Malcolm, that's a big adjustment to go from playing overseas to now college basketball, and he's taken a big step in his sophomore campaign.
Yeah, and I think the competitive piece, I think that's a key thing. Steve Forbes talked about it at length. He's just a guy that's a reliable defender, but he is going to compete out there. You need guys like that on your team.
Everything but the finish there for Andrew Carr. Split the double team. Tried to hammer it home, and we'll head to the line for 2.
That's a nice post-entry pass by Hildreth right here. Again, unselfish play. That's got to be an and one right there for Carr. But again, if you're Steve Forbes, you must like the ball movement and the paint touches.
Saturday afternoon at 2:30 Eastern Time, the ACC Huddle Crew will get you set for the final regular season weekend in the ACC. Be with you all day long, and after the primetime matchup between Pittsburgh and Miami, they'll tell you everything you need to know in what surely will be a wild final Saturday of the regular season. Foul called on Cam Hildreth after the free throw by Carr. It's interesting, Huck, we're more than 12 minutes into this game, and Tyree Appleby has yet to attempt a shot. Wake Forest leading scorer, especially with Williamson out, didn't think that Appleby would be this quiet. Right on cue, fires a 3 and hits it. Sometimes you got to talk about him to make the shot come alive. Tyree Appleby was slow on the trigger tonight, but got a great look and knocked it down.
Well, Jay, defensively, though, again, as we talked about some of the ball movement, them not settling for jumpers, but defensively, Wake needs to tighten it up. South Carolina State has been getting some quality looks. Fortunate Wake, South Carolina State has not been able to connect from 3.
They've missed all 10 of their three-point attempts tonight. Stepped on the end line, turnover. 12 of their 18 from the paint.
And both teams really have struggled with turnovers early. South Carolina State in their losses as well to have had a high turnover number.
Great pass. What a block from behind. And South Carolina State's had success in transition through the spin cycle. Couldn't quite finish it. Kick to the corner. Monsanto drills it from three. Damari Monsanto. Time at Carolina State. Wake Forest has made 5 of their last 6, getting red hot. To this game has come in off the bench in the last 2 minutes, Malcolm. He has sparked this Demon Deacons offense.
Jay, really impressed with his passing ability. Yes, he's putting up some good numbers, 19 points he scored in the last 4 games. But for me, it's been his passing. That's a beautiful find going into that last timeout there for Monsanto in transition.
South Carolina State still really struggling from 3. They've missed all 11 attempts from deep tonight. Getting really quality looks, though. There's another one. Sometimes you just have shooting nights like this, especially on the road, Malcolm.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even close. I mean, they're getting good looks.
They are.
But that did not even draw iron right there. And, well, they're still, again, hanging around to end this game. If they were able to make a couple of shots, cut down on some of the turnovers, they'd be within single digits of this game. But as you said, it's been a struggle from the three-point line for South Carolina State.
Here's Hildreth. Missed the runner. That's his first miss of the evening. It's now 6 turnovers against South Carolina State. Tenth foul against the Bulldogs, so Wake in the double bonus, shooting 2 on every whistle now.
And for head coach Eric Martin of South Carolina State, again, they're an aggressive team. They want to get out, pressure you. They want to definitely crash guys on the offensive glass. But certainly this is kind of a learning process for them early on. You do not want to put teams in the bonus this early.
Hildreth comes out of the game with 13 points. It's 1 shy of his career high. And we've still got 4:30 left in this first half. Another shot that doesn't draw iron for South Carolina State. They're scoreless in the last 3 minutes here. Right inside, count it, plus the foul, Matthew Marsh.
Jay, there's a lot of good backcourts in the ACC. But Appleby, for me, right now, playing some high-level basketball. That's a beautiful, fine basketball IQ off the charts. And when we spoke with Steve Forbes, he said the thing that popped out with him was not on the court. And he said when they went on their Europe trip, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the broadcast, he said how guys gravitated towards him. And he said, I knew early on that he was going to be a leader of this team. And certainly he is doing a little bit of everything for this Wake Forest club, scoring. But again, I'm going to say I've been more impressed with his passing ability and his ability to make things easy for his teammates.
He has 4 assists tonight to go along with 7 points. Wake Forest on a 10-0 run as they start to widen the gap. Much needed bucket for the Bulldogs there. Spinning through traffic, swatted away, but it falls to Appleby. Shot clock at 15. Monsanto from deep, left it short. Another offensive rebound and a foul. Bobi Klintman at the line when we come back. Demon Deacons starting to separate, up by 17. On the road to Madison, Wisconsin. I don't know if you caught any of that game earlier, Malcolm, but they're playing in the Battle for Atlantis, part of our Feast Week. Final score, 43-42, Wisconsin against Dayton. That is an old-school defensive slugfest in Atlantis.
I mean, that's almost, you think, is that halftime? But certainly that's a old-school basketball right there. Grind them out. This game right here, though, if you're South Carolina State, 3:25 to go in the first half, you're trying to get anything positive going into the half. It's just been a struggle, though, offensively. And, Jay, they've had good looks. Again, it's not a question of whether or not they've had some looks, not even just from the three-point line. They've just missed some opportunities. And we're going to talk about their schedule. They're starting off, they got a really tough schedule.
Here at the ACC Network, we want to see your perspective when you're watching an ACC game. So snap a picture, take a video, tag it with hashtag #AllTheDevotion, post it to your social media platforms, and you just might see it right here on ACC Network. Wake Forest doubling up South Carolina State, 40-20, a little more than 3 minutes left of this first half. Malcolm, Demon Deacons, 15 of 19 from the foul line. They have done such a great job not only getting to the foul line, but making them count.
Yeah, and I think the big thing, the patience. Again, they've had times as South Carolina State finally gets a 3 to go off of some excellent ball movement. But on the other side, Wake Forest, they've done a nice job not settling. Obviously, again, you talked about it in the bonus, and then when they've had opportunities, they've been all going to the basket.
Swiped away by Edwards, but Appleby, like a safety in football, read it well, has it back for Wake Forest. Appleby fires from the corner and hits. Tyree Appleby doing it all for the Demon Deacons right now.
Jay, he's got great footwork. That time on that shot, got into his movement early, and then his footwork on his pull-ups. Really a great footwork. He is going to be fun to watch. Again, look at his footwork right here. That you can't do it any better. I mean, it's 1-2 up into his shot, quick release. He is going to be fun to watch in the ACC. And it looks like Steve Forbes has found himself another good one.
Wake Forest continues to capitalize in the statistics that matter. 11 points off turnovers. 16 points in the paint. And it hasn't been pretty, at times for Steve Forbes' offense in this first half, but you look at it, 45, they caught fire when they needed to, despite that 4-minute stretch without scoring.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for Steve Forbes, and he mentioned this to us at length, he said, look, defensively, some of the defensive breakdowns and turnovers, that's the big thing that has really bothered him, in particular in that loss. Defensive breakdowns, and then just can't turn the ball over. Thus far, though, in this game, they've been okay, but rebounding, give South Carolina State credit. They're going to send 5 guys, as Steve Forbes said. Any offensive possession, all 5 guys will try to crash the offensive glass.
And that's now 6 offensive rebounds for the Bulldogs in this first half. Deep 3. Damari Monsanto buries his 3rd 3 of this first half.
At 48 points, most points in a half so far this season for Wake Forest.
Even more impressive when you consider they're doing it without Davian Williamson. We'll step aside. Timeout on the floor. 40 seconds left in this first half. Awesome. Wake Forest royalty in the house the night before Thanksgiving. 2003 ACC Player of the Year, Josh Howard, watching his Demon Deacons. Obviously had an awesome career here in Winston-Salem. At number 5, hanging in the rafters, and then went on to have a tremendous NBA career as well.
One of the great, in the long list of great Wake Forest players to come through here, he was one of the best. And as you said, legend here at Wake Forest, went on at the next level, had some great success as well, too. Always good to see those guys come back.
8 seconds to shoot. Appleby. Pull-up pop from deep. Oh, and he buries it. Tyree Appleby. Edwards trying to answer. That goes begging. South Carolina State just 1 of 14 from 3. Tyree Appleby, meanwhile, a perfect 3 for 3 from the floor in that first half. This one's the last one. What an end to this first half. Wake is up big in the opening 20. Malcolm.
Yeah, balance. I think that's the big thing that if you're Steve Forbes, you're happy with. It was not just one guy. We talked about Davion Williamson not being in the lineup tonight. Who's going to replace some of his production? Hildreth Monsanto did a really nice job in the first half, picking up some of that missed production.
Here's Hildreth. That time misfiring. Offensive rebound. Monsanto rejected at the rim. Plenty of contact, no call. And now a whistle.
Back to that previous Monsanto offensive rebound. Sometimes you get an offensive rebound, and if you have a putback, great. Go up there. In that situation, you get a fresh shot clock. Go rerun your offense. No need to force it back up in that situation.
Tough take, and somehow it goes. Justin Wilson muscling that one home for the Bulldogs.
This is how South Carolina State started off the game. They were keeping it close because of that right there. Paint touches. They were not settling for jumpers, getting some backdoor cuts or some interior passing. They're going to need more of that in the second half to try to claw back into this game.
If you take away the three-point shooting numbers as Hildreth connects on a triple, that's a career high for Cam Hildreth. 16 points. But back to South Carolina State. If you take away the three-point shooting numbers, the Bulldogs are shooting 13 of 22, well over 50%.
Yeah, again, the turnovers and three-point shooting really have hurt them. And that's one, again, even if you're open, the numbers say you are not shooting the ball at a high clip. And then you give up a three. That's the one guy, if you're South Carolina State, you have to find him.
Monsanto buries his 4th 3 of the night, and Wake Forest is up big. Timeout, Bulldogs.
Domino's delivery vehicles are going.
I want to talk about a tough start to the season for first-year head coach Eric Martin in this South Carolina State team. First 11 games on the road. They don't play a home game until December 13th.
I mean, that is tough, and certainly we talked about how late he was hired in the process, and obviously, Jay, in this day and age of mining the transfer portal, we talked about the job that Steve Forbes has done. He was behind the 8 ball, but again, make no mistake about it. He learned, played for one of the best, coached with one of the best, Bob Huggins. So, again, I think he's a guy that with time, he is going to get this thing going in the right direction, but certainly to start this season off with that type of schedule and as late as he's taken the job, He is going to do the best he can do, but certainly not favorable conditions.
You know, we talk about you want to be battle tested. You want to use non-conference play to make your team strong for conference play when it rolls around. But 11 straight road games to start the season. And, you know, you're going to Rupp Arena at Kentucky, at South Carolina, here at Wake Forest. You're going on and playing really tough teams in their building.
And I think the one, positive that you can take of that is certainly they will be ready once they get into conference play. But you're absolutely right, Jay. That is really tough to start off with that many road games, and certainly they're playing in some of the most difficult arenas to play with.
Stolen away. Appleby again. Dispossessed. Appleby lost the handle, and it leads to an and one the other way. L.J. Hallam's in perfect position to cash in off the steal.
Yeah, one of the few mistakes we've seen Appleby make in this game. Again, he gets the steal and then just kind of leaves it out in front right there. Again, he has the ball in his right hand, guy on his left side. He just crosses it back over to his left. Kind of a careless turnover. Those are some of the things that Steve Forbes, again, we sense the frustration of the one loss they had. He said, look, we've had some really just uncharacteristic turnovers in that game and really cost them.
So they bounced back brilliantly tonight. Offensive explosion in the first half, 51 points, which is a season high. They've made 8 of 14 threes, even with that miss from Monsanto. Still shooting well above 50% from deep. And another and one opportunity coming for South Carolina State. They've come out in this second half fiercely competing on the road. That tells you a lot about a team when you're down by more than 20 at halftime and they come out shot out of a cannon to start the second half.
And that's just the breakdown by Monsanto. You cannot let cutters cut right in front of you. We saw that a little in the first half, and Steve Forbes pulls them out of the game. Again, these are the little things Steve Forbes talked about as they get closer to ACC conference play. We need to tighten those things up. I think, look, offensively, they got some guys that can score. Defensively, and then the turnovers and two areas of concern that Steve Forbes is looking to tighten up.
Best stretch of the night for South Carolina State on a 6-0 run over the last minute. And it ends with a hammer from Andrew Carr.
Well, Ty Appleby is going to make some noise in the ACC. Really looking forward to him matching up against some of these really good backcourts. That's a beautiful dime, though. Hesitation move, and then nice little dump off pass for a dunk.
Brings so much energy to this Wake Forest team. Take another look.
And, Jay, this right here, again, individual play. He has a decision to make. Can I try to score for myself or set my teammate up? And that's the thing that Steve Forbes really is impressed with this young man about, his leadership and unselfish play. Again, he's a guy that can score. We talked about that, 19-plus points, 4 games in a row. But his passing and unselfish play really is what impressed this staff.
Hildreth fouled. He has 2 coming at the line. Appleby, 6 assists to go along with what you're talking about, Malcolm. Just makes it look so easy, too.
Yeah, and similar to what Alondas Williams did last year. Again, the ACC Player of the Year. Guy obviously that put up big numbers, but also was at tops with assist as well, too. And when you have a guy that can fill it up, but also is a willing passer, it just makes it so much easier for your offense.
Saturday is rivalry day in the ACC all across college football. Some great matchups, including Wake Forest and Duke, 3:30 Eastern Time, and then Pittsburgh and Miami, ACC primetime football, all right here on ACC Network. Look at that free throw disparity. Wake Forest, 21 attempts. South Carolina State, only 3. And the Bulldogs have already committed 6 fouls in the first 4 minutes of this second half. They've done a nice job getting to the rim, though. When they've had success on offense, it's been points in the paint.
Yeah, and I've been impressed with their cutting. Again, they've been able to cut in front of the Wake defenders, and when they haven't turned it over or settled, you're right, Jay, they've had some good spacing.
In the second half, South Carolina State up on Wake 13-9, but the Demon Deacons still comfortable up 20. They went to Winston Churchill's bunker, Omaha Beach, and Normandy. He said this trip was about team bonding, about history, about education, not so much basketball, and yet he's seen it show up with the chemistry that this team has developed because they took those 10 days away.
And what an experience it is for these young men. And Steve Forbes, as you said, is big on that. Again, bigger than basketball, want to educate these guys, get them thinking about other things. And you're absolutely right, the chemistry. And when you talk about Appleby, that's when he said, look, I knew how guys were reacting with him, how he was interacting with the team, that I had a leader. And certainly a lot of coaches use this and these tours for team bonding, and he thinks this is going to really be a big thing for this team moving forward.
The one thing that he said that I agreed with, Malcolm, is that right now you can only take a trip once every 4 years. He said, if you've got the resources, if you can raise the money, why can't you give this experience to these kids every year? And it doesn't have to be Europe. It can be parts of our own country. And it's a great point because they get so much out of it.
Absolutely. Have these kids go on tours. You can do camps and then obviously do some educational stuff as well, too. I would absolutely agree with him on that. And again, certainly there's a lot of roles that I don't agree with. But again, within those 4 years, this is something that these kids will never forget. It is a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Did you get to go on a tour like that during your playing days at Boston College at all?
Absolutely. Interesting. I went on a trip with a former Wake Forest legend, Mark Blucas, a.k.a. Buffy the Vampire Slayer's boyfriend back in the day, and now big-time famous actor. I actually texted with him before this game, but yeah, we went on a trip to Spain. So sometimes, back then it was Big East, but the ACC schools, other conferences, they would put together a college tour, and Mark Lucas happened to be on that, and it was really a life-changing experience, really unrelated to basketball, but just some of the friendships and things that you get to experience.
Steve Forbes, so thankful, with Thanksgiving tomorrow, he blessed, thankful that, he was able to take this group on the road to Europe for those 10 days. I didn't realize how much of a history buff he is. He was going. We were going hour by hour on the itinerary. He had it jam-packed with history, and he said he loved how his group really paid attention to the guided tours and really got a lot out of it. Right to the rim, making it look easy. Bobi Klintman. Scoring is picked up in Winston-Salem. Wake has made 3 in a row. South Carolina State has now made their last 7. 7 straight makes for the Bulldogs. This offense has come to life in the second half. Right down the other way, Andrew Carr. Beautiful alley-oop. These two teams have now made 10 straight baskets combined.
Tyree Appleby again. That's a beautiful dime for his 8th assist. Really love how he always has his head up, looking for his teammates. Again, he is really turned into a big-time find for Steve Forbes and his staff.
That's now 8 assists on the night for Appleby. Has it here. Hesitation. Step back 3. Missed it. First miss of the night. He's been perfect until that point. Rejected at the rim. Andrew Carr, he's starting to let his presence be felt in this game.
And Jay, this is what I'm talking about right here. In transition again, he could have taken that. A lot of guys, again, they could have forced that shot up there. He draws so much attention. 3 guys around him, sets his teammate up, and that's what really good players do. Again, understanding when to go or when to get other guys involved. That's an unselfish play by Appleby in transition.
Edwards pull-up pop, and it bounces in. Visitor roll there for Edwards in South Carolina State. They dug themselves quite the hole, but the offense is firing. They have 23 points in the second half, Malcolm, after 27 the entire first half, and we're less than 8 minutes into this second half. Wow.
Well, if you're Coach Eric Martin, you have to be pleased, though, with the effort that your team has continued to put out. Again, it would have been easy for them to fold it up after that first half, but they're continuing to kind of chip away at this thing. 12:15 to go in the second half, and that's all you can ask for. Again, he knew when he took this job, got it late in the game, his guys weren't even on campus at the time, and got them all back together. So he's learning about this team. I think if there's one thing that you can take from this, the energy and effort certainly is there.
We mentioned the 11 straight road games to start the season, including this one in Winston-Salem. Edwards on a heat check, way off the mark. And now Appleby, so dangerous in transition. Trailing in perfect position. Bobi Klintman, the freshman, lays it up and in. And a foul called on Appleby. These two teams catching fire in the second half. Wake up by 22. Did I just hear Wake Forest head coach Steve Forbes say oyster stew? And there were a lot of weird answers there, but Forbes might have had the oddest one. Oyster stew on Thanksgiving?
Hey, I'm going to have to Google that one, unless you can help me out. Have you had some oyster stew? We got to ask him next time. See if we can
I'm going to have
out.
him bring us some next time we see him. I mean, I've never even heard of it, let alone as a Thanksgiving side.
Well, I'm going to let you be the tester at first. I'm going to let you go first on that one, but certainly a lot of interesting answers on that one.
What's your favorite side, Huck?
Well, I got to go with my wife's mac and cheese. That's first number one there, and then cannolis. Does that count as a side? I got hooked on cannolis in Italy.
Cannolis? I mean, it's delicious. Don't get me wrong, but that's almost as bizarre as oyster stew when it comes to a Thanksgiving meal. I'm easy. I just like a little green bean casserole. Nothing fancy.
Man, yeah, you got to stop saying all these delicious foods, man. I'm getting a little hungry.
Talk about feasting. How about this alley-oop?
Unselfish play. Offensively, Wake, when they have not turned it over, they've shared the ball. Steve Forbes, again, said he likes this team. Offensively, they've done some really good things. And I think when they're all healthy, gives Steve Forbes the opportunity to play with multiple lineups. They can go big, they can play small. Finding all that out early on in the season prior to them getting into ACC conference play.
Yeah, this is a team that's playing without Davian Williamson, star guard, who's out tonight with a back injury, and yet they've shown they have the depth, the versatility to still come out and play some really, really strong basketball. And on the topic of Feast Week, there's Williamson there. This is my favorite week of the college basketball regular season. I mean, just wall-to-wall hoops for 12 straight days. Really, any hour of the day. You could go to ESPN, the app, one of many channels, and find a great basketball game.
Best time of the year right now. You got so much going on. College hoops, college football, NFL, NBA.
You even got a World Cup going on, too. Sports overload right now. And enjoying it all. Wake Forest was down at the Jamaica Classic over the weekend. Steve Forbes has to be happy with his team that they've bounced back from that overtime loss against LMU on Sunday. Saturday afternoon, 2:30 Eastern Time, the ACC Huddle crew will get you set for the final regular season weekend of the football season. Halftime shows, post-game shows, everything you need to know. That 11 p.m. issue, a full recap of the final week of ACC football. Hildreth wrestles it away. All the way to the rack, rejected. But a foul called. Oh, goaltending. Count the bucket, so Hildreth continues to add to his career night. 19 points now.
And Jay, that play right there, that sequence sums up Cam Hildreth as he's going to go to the bench for Steve Forbes. And back to our conversation about Hildreth with Steve Forbes. He said, look, he's just a tough dude. Grabs an defensive rebound, pushes the ball out in the break, and gets a two off the goaltend. And again, he is just that type of guy, the glue guy, who do all the little things.
Close call.
Yeah, and it's such, we have the luxury of doing replay, slowing it down, having different angles. Certainly in that situation, though, no need to be in a rush if you're Wake with the size of the lead.
Seconds to shoot. South Carolina State has now scored more points in the second half already, so with 9 minutes left in it, than they had in all of the first half. Up high again, gathered and slammed home. Matt Marsh continues what has been a fruitful game inside for the sophomore.
Well, he's got great hands, and that's the thing that jumps out. They've thrown him some lobs. He's either put him in for dunks or caught him, come down with them, and then finished. Steve Forbes and staff really, really excited about his potential. 7-1, great hands, and ability to finish around the basket.
They went right back to him and fouled. Wake has now made 5 in a row. On pace to exceed way more than 100 points tonight. And they've done it all without Davian Williamson.
He's so key. We talked about the numbers that both he and Appleby have put up early on in the season through 5 games. Certainly, they're going to need his production. So Steve Forbes, again, obviously need to get him back healthy. But Marsh coming off, I've been impressed with him. His size obviously gives them a great post presence. But his hands really were impressive in this game.
Under 8 to play. Wake Forest up by 29.
Well, having some technical difficulties. Jay Alter, this is Malcolm Huckabee here, ACC Network. Wake with the 84-56 lead. So we're going to try to get Jay Alter back on the line right here. South Carolina State with the ball. Wake Forest with a sizable lead. And it continues to be great ball movement and easy opportunities for Wake Forest. Steve Forbes certainly going to be pleased with the offensive production that his team has put forth in this game. Everybody getting involved in the action. Again, in transition, Wake Forest. Unselfish plays all around, and another uncontested dunk. Unselfish play. Monsanto with the dunk, and think about his story coming back last year earlier than expected off that Achilles tear, and during the offseason slimmed down, showing off the hops that time in transition off the beautiful feed, and it's been that type of night offensively for Wake Forest. Monsanto goes to the bench. Productive night for him thus far. 16 points. Efficient from the field. 4 threes made. 4 of 8 from the three-point line. And one of the smoothest jumpers in the ACC. That's the one area, though, Steve Forbes definitely not going to be pleased with. With the 30-point lead, but certainly the turnovers continue to be an area of concern. And if you're just joining us now, my partner, some technical difficulties with his mic, so I'm rolling solo here, but it has been all Wake Forest tonight. South Carolina State, though, continues to grind. One of the few threes they've been able to get to go. They're now up to 20% from the three-point line, 4 for 20. It was a struggle, but not for Wake Forest. They continue to be lights out. And that puts them 53% from the three-point line. They've had some high-quality looks. They continue to shoot the ball really well from beyond the arc. Another alley-oop dunk, this time set up by Cam Hildreth, who really player of the game along with Appleby, but Hildreth, 19 points, even more impressive, 7 boards, 2 assists. Done a little bit of everything for Wake Forest tonight. Going to break. It has been all Wake Forest. They are up big in the second half over South Carolina State.
Thanksgiving Eve in Wake Forest, plenty to be thankful for tonight. Tyree Appleby has led the way. And quickly, I'm thankful to have such great teammates like Malcolm Huckabee in our riding with some technical difficulties there.
Yeah, and back to Appleby, though. He really, impressive, the assist numbers. At the beginning, yes, we talked about his 19 points per game average this season, but his assist, his ability to set his teammates up really, to me, is what is going to make him a very special player for this Wake Forest team. Wake Forest continues to get high percentage opportunities. Well, it's rivalry weekend in the ACC, starting off with Wake Forest versus Duke, 3:30, and then Pittsburgh versus Miami, 8 p.m. Saturday on the ACC network. Best time of the year right here. You got some college football going on, college hoops, you got NFL. We got you covered here, though, on the ACC network. Steve Forbes certainly going to feast a lot better for Thanksgiving after this performance by his team. Certainly disappointed after that loss. Game that he felt, certainly they were in pretty good position to win. He said they needed to come out with some energy, tighten some things up. Offensively, putting on a very good performance, balanced without one of their better scorers. Davian Williamson out with a back injury. But certainly other guys picked it up. Cam Hildreth, big game for Wake Forest. Right now sits at 19 points, but really impressive, balanced performance by Wake Forest. in this game.
Wake Forest tonight.
I think offensively, the amount of guys that Steve Forbes has at his disposal that are scorers. Cam Hildreth was really impressive in this one. Steve Forbes raves about his toughness as you take a look at all his guys are going to get rest. He's going to get a chance to get some guys in that don't get that much playing time. But back to your question, Hildreth was impressive, but first time looking at Tyree Appleby, I think Steve Forbes and them have found another good one. Will he turn into Alondas Williams and be ACC Player of the Year? I don't know about that. There's a lot of good players in this ACC, but certainly we are going to be calling his name a lot in Wake Forest games. He is really good, and I think the most impressive thing, similar to Alondas Williams, he's a guy that can score, but also can set his teammates up.
But I don't think they need him to be Alondas Williams, and that's something that Steve Forbes preached to us yesterday during our call, Malcolm, is he just needs to be Tyree Appleby. You know, you're not going to replace LaRavia and Williams per se, but hopefully you get enough contributions from everybody that this team could still be a 25-win team like they were a year ago.
Yeah, look, Steve Forbes is pretty, straightforward with us. Look, our team's completely different from what we had last year. We don't have Alondas Williams. We don't have a Jake LaRavia, but we got a group of guys where it gives him versatility to play small, play bigger. I'm intrigued by Matt Marsh as well, too. He's a big, again, that offensively, I think he will be very productive for this Wake team. But the key, though, is Appleby. He is going to be the guy, I think, similar to what the role that Alondas Williams played last year. How well is he able to control the tempo and pace of games? Obviously, you know he's going to score for himself, but I think the key is the other guys. And it was an impressive performance all around, balanced. I think that's the key word. It wasn't just one guy. It was a pretty balanced performance offensively for them. And that's the good, Jay. I do think, though, they have to take care of the ball better. I think the turnovers, again, still there's some question marks around that. And then defensively, look, South Carolina State struggled shooting the ball, but they had some good looks. And I think defensively, they're still a work in progress. But this is certainly what Steve Forbes and Wake Forest needed going into the Thanksgiving feast. Smiles all around, they should be. Everybody was involved with the action. Six players in double digits for Wake Forest. South Carolina State, again, they're going to come up short again. Coach Eric Martin, his guys did not stop fighting, and certainly this is trying to get them prepared for conference play. But it was all Wake Forest tonight. Steve Forbes wanted his guys to come out with some energy, share the ball. That they did. Six players for Wake Forest in double digits, led by Cam Hildreth. Big night for Wake Forest. 19 points, 7 to 10 from the floor, and 8 rebounds.